And in this video, we are using MeiLaing watercolors to create this pretty little painting of loose florals. Especially if you're a beginner, this is what you want to check out. And we're going to be using the Princeton Angular shader. Hi guys, welcome to another video tutorial with me, Claire's. And in this video, we are going to be exploring loose florals using the Angular shader Princeton Velvetouch brush. All right, so this is one of my favorite brushes to go with the flow and get loose with. So we're going to explore very loose florals, lots of great, beautiful colors. And to be very specific, we're gonna focus in on oranges, a little bit of the pinkish hues, so more like a crimson sort of pinky red. And then we're going to be mixing like Hooker's dark green with something like a fire opal or even the Van Dyke brown. Okay, so let's begin. So to begin, I'm going to get some of this New Gamboge yellow, which is right here on the brush. And we're going to, I would like to do flowers on either side, kind of like framing the edges. So I'm going to start off with doing really rough lines like this. Very basic, simple, easy. And then let's do a couple more around here. This exercise is meant to help you get loose and really flow with your work. Then I'm kind of washing off my brush. Let's bring that over here. And then I'm going to get some of the orange, which is permanent yellow deep right here on my brush. And then I'm going to get just a little bit of the organic vermilion on the tip of this brush right here. And then we're going to start pressing down to create little petals. Dipping the tip of my brush in water, I'm going to go back in and create more petals. And I'm kind of going around this little circular yellow bit that I painted in initially. Getting more water on my brush, I'm kind of going over these areas here to really paint in some petals, and we have our first flower. We're going to repeat the same thing again. Time is of the essence here because we are trying to get the yellow that we laid down in the beginning to blend in. So make sure you're moving fast, and also you're being very loose with your strokes. If you need to mix some of the color, you can do what I'm doing, kind of just going in and adding additional strokes that way. Again, one more time, I'm doing the same thing. And then dipping the tip of my brush in water just to get a nice, more diluted version of that color. I am painting the rest of this in. All right, so that's the idea. At this point, you can also get, using the tallest portion of your ear, just get some of that vermilion and just drop that into the center here just a little bit to kind of have these flowers stand out that much more. You can also use a Van Dyke brown for this part if you wish. I'm using this. And then I'm going to get some of that pinky hue, which is rose red. Whoops, rose red right here. And I'm just going to drop some of these tones in here, again using the tallest portion. And you want to do this while these areas are damp. So it's more of a wet on damp move that you're doing. And I'm very sporadically dropping this in. I'm not covering every little petal. I'm just sort of doing it in some, and you can see how it pops out immediately. We're just going to get some of that leftover pink on the brush, and I'm just going to add little blobs framing these flowers. So we now have like a lighter, very loose version of flowers in that pink, which is pretty. I'm just getting just a little bit on the tip, dropping that in And we're just essentially, if you really had to describe what we're doing here, we're laying down blobs of color and we're figuring out when to drop in the darker tone to get those nice darker bleeds happening. And there's a lot more where this came from. So if you're really looking to hone into watercolor, this looks easy, but it's everything is about learning when, like your timing, your supplies, everything plays a huge role in your end results. So keep that in mind. So now I'm getting some of the green. I've got some permanent green on here. Let's just mix it onto my palette. And then I'm going to get some brown to mix it in, because I typically don't end up using these bright greens because I like my bright flowers. So what I do is I use the bright greens and I mix it with some brown. So I'm going to mix it in with some Indian red. And this gives me too much of a dark brown, so I'm going to get more of that green. So you have to really like pay attention to your portions or proportions when you're mixing color, because that if you do more brown, obviously you're going to get more of a browner feel. If you do more green, you'll get more of a greeny feel. So things like that. And this stuff only comes with practice. So the more you do, the easier it becomes, I promise you. Watercolor, there is a science to it, and so you need to really just practice. So now using the tip of my brush, I like to add these details in when things are still damp. So it gives me that nice, beautiful watercolor flow. So using the tip, I'm going to lightly graze and kind of create beautiful little stems, delicate stems. Feel free to rest this part of your hand on the table, but make sure you're not kind of getting it into the flowers, which is damp and wet. I'm going to extend this even more because I like a beautiful frame. And then I'm pressing down to create little blobs of green that are going to be our leaves. Now, leaves are fairly simple. My suggestion, if you're brand new to watercolor, which most of you would be, is to take a sheet of paper, really kind of watch how I'm using just this tip to press down and create a leaf, and get started with that. And use all different sides of your brush to kind of really get some interesting results. I'm also fluctuating with how dark my green is. So sometimes I'm using the dark green, then I'm dipping the tip of my brush in water to get a lighter green, and then I'm kind of fluctuating that way. So then this way what happens is darker greens, I would say, in the shadowy area. So where you've got bunches of flowers, add some of that dark green in there. It just makes that area pop even more. And yeah, so as I was saying, once you have this dark and light effect happening, you're creating more of a hierarchy in your artwork, which really helps the eye decipher what is where on your sheet. So keep that in mind as well. I like to do flourishes kind of like that. So what I'm going to do is using the tip, resting my hand on my sheet here, I'm going to lightly graze and create something like that. I'm going to create another one, and then dipping the tip of my brush in water, pressing down to create these little leaves. You can also start from the stem out, which gives you very nice results. You can also use a different green if you really want to get a variety of different greens happening. I personally encourage things like that. This way you're able to really create a lot of depth and interest in your artwork. I'm touching some areas that are damp, and you can see it kind of just blending into the flower. If you don't like that effect, what I would suggest is just taking a clean damp brush and just lightly grazing and swiping it away, or just lifting it off the sheet, and then dab this on paper towel or just wash your brush. But paper towel is easier and quicker. Same thing here, you can see how that has flared out. Or you can just leave it as is and make your notes on the side so that the next time you're a little bit more aware and you're paying attention to these little things, like what got you these results. So now I'm just getting some of the leftover green and I'm trying to dilute it some more. So I'm just taking some, mixing it in another well, because this is good. I could probably use it for another project. So I'm taking just a little bit because I don't need too much. A little goes a long way with watercolor. So here we go. And what I want to do is really fluff this area up. So I'm just going to pull and extend to create more leaves. If you're not a leafy person, you don't really like fluffing up your artwork, that's all good and dandy. You don't need to. I like to do things like this. I feel like it just adds something nice to your end results. And notice the white space as well. That is important. You should absolutely be making sure you've got some white space left in your artwork. And I'm kind of trying to make it seem like it's curving off the page and then coming back in view. So that's what I'm doing here. There we go. And just because I have a little bit down here, I'll just add a couple of smaller ones up here. Maybe like a larger one up there. Yeah, great. Now, I think this is great. This is where you can sort of have a cute little message in the center over here. Make this a card. So you're essentially killing two birds with one stone. You're getting a little bit of practice in. And if you like how this looks, let's go ahead and make it a card and have something cute in the middle. Okay, so for this portion, I'm going to be using a brush marker by Karen Brush Markers. And I believe this is Cocoa. So I have the perfect piece of encouragement, let's call it encouragement, for this. And because I like modern calligraphy, I'm not about perfection. We're all about letting loose and going with the flow. We're going to explore more of a fun style. So I like cursive as well. So here we go. My line is going to be the following. Any guesses yet? If you guessed darling, you are right. That's a little bit of a... That's a little too stressed. Should have been more curvy, but it's darling, comma, you are. Any guesses? Write them in the comments before I get to the next line. It's a little bit too close to the G, but we're okay with that for now. Darling, you are champagne. Cutting it close. We're slightly off with champagne, but again, I was freestyling it. I didn't really practice this before. I just kind of went on a whim and wrote it down. So if you end up doing it, definitely, and you're doing it for a gift, I would suggest doing very light lines just to make sure you're straight and just practicing your flourishes so you don't do something like that, because it happens to the best of us. All right, okay, so one last thing before I finish, and it is this. So if you're looking for a way to really cover up some of these areas, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can overcome this with a quick fix. Now, if you're also looking to learn more of like details like this involving watercolor, learning how to do things, when to do things, mixing, and all these great things, I would suggest checking out my monthly Go with the Flow watercolor membership and joining our community. We've got tons and tons of videos on there. All right. So on that note, what we're going to do is we're going to take the rose red, which we used while it was damp. So I'm going to get that brush again. We're getting some of the rose red. And what I'm going to do is go in these areas, and we're using more color, less water. And I'm just going to like lightly add little strokes of color in there. And what this is going to do is it just makes the center pop. It also covers those little areas where we don't want those imperfections to show. So make sure you're getting a nice dark version of that color, and we're just lightly going in and we're just adding these strokes. Now, if you want to give your center more of a center, for lack of a better explanation, because I like to leave mine white, I suggest using the Van Dyke Brown, and I would just do little dots. But outside of that, this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Feel free to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. There's lots of great videos on my channel here, and feel free to share with friends and loved ones. So watercolor, like I say, is the gift that keeps on giving. So I hope you're able to sit down, do this for yourself, take 15, 20 minutes, however long, and just go with the flow. Thanks guys for watching, and we will chat soon. Bye.